Your Black World family. This is Yvette Carnell coming to you. I want to talk to you today about distractions. I think those people who have followed me from Breaking Brown and from Your Black World know that, as far as I'm concerned, the candidacy, the of the presidency of the first black president was one of the greatest distraction in the history of American politics. The way that we adhere to him, the way that we defend him, because of his race as opposed to his policies, has been a distraction. Now, if we're talking about additional distractions and their usefulness, what I want to talk to you about today is two things. Two things. I want to talk to you about the untimely death of Nicholas Thomas, who was killed in Georgia by the Smyrna police in Cobb County here, and the Confederate flag, because the reason many people aren't talking about the news that was released this past week, that Thomas died, according to the medical examiner, he died from a bullet to the back. And the Smyrna police, the officer who fatally shot him, said that the car was accelerating at a high speed towards him, so he had to shoot. He had no choice but to take this young man's life over a parole violation, because that's why they were there. The police were there to serve a warrant, a felony warrant to him over a parole violation. And he got in his car and took off. And the police said he was accelerating, using his car as a weapon. I feared for my life. Police always fearing for their life, even though, policing has been, exceptionally safe. You're more in danger as a logger and as a, open water fisherman, a lot of other things. But he was in fear for his life, so he had to shoot. But the bullet entered Nicholas Thomas through the back. The bullet entered through his back. So at the very least, I don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. But at the very least, it's something that we should be talking about. But the reason we're not talking about how or why this young man, Nicholas Thomas, died at the hands of police is because we're talking about the Confederate flag. Now, here's my issue. I think the Confederate flag should have been gone. But the problem that I have is the fixation with the flag. Because honestly, if you look at it, if the Confederate flag goes away tomorrow, it is not going to fix the unemployment rate. It is not going to fix the access that blacks have to capital. It is not going to fix, systemic racism. It is not going to take care of to lift black people out of urban ghettos. It is not going to do, it is not going to do anything about mass incarceration, which is being used. Mass incarceration is now being used for people, who don't have jobs. If you don't have a job, we can put you in jail and you can work for somebody for free. So, although I want to see the Confederate flag gone, I caution everybody, black people, about fixating on the Confederate flag. Fixating on this flag is not a good idea. And let me tell you, the reason we know this now is because so many Republicans are coming on board. You notice that before these people were slain in Charleston, before these 9 black people at Emmanuel AME were gunned down by a white racist, before any of this, you didn't have Nikki Haley. You didn't have Nikki Haley and the 2 senators coming forward saying, yeah, we're in favor of getting rid of this flag. The way that you know that the gig is in and that this is being used as a distraction is because Republicans are coming on board. Why? How? Why now? Do you really expect me to believe that these people care so much about the black people who died? There are black people dying all over the world at the hands of the American government, the hands of imperialism. Look at Bill Clinton in Rwanda. You can go all the way back there and bring it up here. How many countries has Obama bombed? So, countries in Africa. So what I'm saying is the idea that all of a sudden, Nikki Haley, who changed her name from something that was Indian sounding to something that was all American, you want me to believe that now this woman has decided that the Confederate flag is offensive and should be taken down from the state house? Like, I don't buy it. I think this is a piecemeal act that is being given to black people because, people, they sort of understand that we have to give them something. So why not give them something symbolic? Why not give them something symbolic as opposed to something that's substantive? We have been gunning down. We know that black people have been gunned down in the streets over past months, over the past months and years. This has been happening, from everybody from, you look all the way to from Trayvon Martin to John Crawford to Tamir Rice. This is an ongoing thing. And now you have 9 black people in a church who were gunned down. Right? So they're asking themselves, they're telling themselves we have to do something, but we're going to give them something symbolic, something that really won't impact their everyday life. It really won't help them in any tangible, real way. We'll take down the flag, and we won't address anything else. And while we're talking about the flag, we'll use that media distraction about the flag to undermine working class people, black and white, with this trade agreement. We'll put that in place. That's gonna ship more jobs overseas. That deal negotiated by Obama and Republicans is gonna hurt working class people. So let's just they passed that. People don't really understand that they passed this. The House passed this on the day that these people were murdered. On the day that these 9 black people were murdered. This is what your legislators were up to. And it was mostly Republicans, and Obama's on board. Obama's been pushing this harder than anybody. And this came down on that day. A few days later, the Senate okayed it. So they're using this, and they're using us. This is a distraction away from people, like, investigations about Nicholas Thomas and others who've been murdered. This is the trade agreements. This Confederate flag is a distraction away from things that we should be paying attention to. Now, I'm not saying don't push for it or whatever, but you have to be able to keep your eye on the ball and pay attention to things that matter. And the Confederate flag, it only matters symbolically. It doesn't matter in terms of the day-to-day life of you and me. So don't take your eyes off the ball.